If they stick with this concept where it provides no power at all, it is purely cosmetics, and they're making money off of whales, and maybe we can even earn some, us moderate spenders or low spenders are free to play by doing content. And that allows them to, he's literally drawing the line to having less sales. I'm all for it. This is the first time I'm reading it, like truly, so I apologize if there's more reading in it than I would like. Yes, I am streaming. I'm also going to record this because I do think I'm going to want this to be a video. I will edit it down to make sure it's as much video appropriate versus stream as possible. And then stream, once we're done reading this, I'll kind of give my thoughts. And then, of course, you and I will have an elongated conversation on it, I assume. Okay. In the day we will dig into the Marvel Contest of Champions to explain the reason of our first new cosmetic feature. I like that they're flat out calling it cosmetics because that's what it is. And I was a little concerned that they were going to try to like avoid using the term first appearance champions. Where are we and how to get there? Today, I want to take some time to peel back the curtain and have a transparent conversation about where we are regarding the current monetization strategy for Marvel Contest of Champions. Our game has changed a lot in the last 7 years, and as the game has changed, we have evolved. We had to evolve the way we operate it. If for anyone who's played that long, and been a spender that long, I think this is incredibly accurate. Incredibly accurate. One major way as it changes in how the game makes money. In the early years of the contest, almost all revenue came from what we call baseline. This was mostly players buying base unit packs in order to buy consumables and content. Guys, if you weren't playing, this again is incredibly accurate. Like everyone talks about this, like Mr. Sinister. I can't even remember what I had to do to get through that Mr. Sinister. I think I had to get like Gladiator Hulk and then apply a pre-fight from like Odin, maybe. I mean, I don't even know if that timeline makes sense. I just want to give you an idea of like some of these fights were just not possible. This really fits my experience. Alliance Quest made a lot of money, even yeah, dude. Because again, I wasn't very good, but I think a lot of us weren't. And I remember there being Alliance quests where I was like, I don't want to item out. I'm going to cost my tier 1 alliance our map rewards, and you needed those to rank up. Alliance War was similar, with more wars being won based on who could finish the map. Yep, I mean, I remember my first ones, me and the guys. In fact, EAJ, who's in my alliance now, remembers this. It was not pretty. They were not pretty fights, but we got through. This whole paragraph completely fits my experience with MCoC. Fast forward to 2025, and less than 20% of revenue comes from baseline. Players now spend we hate doing it. Spend very little money on consumables of any form. We believe there are two major reasons behind this change. I'm curious to see what their reasoning is, and I want to curious if they take any responsibility for it. I want to say this right now before I get to it. I actually think they deserve some credit for it too, though. Okay. The first is something outside of our control. Players are on average way, but yes, or better at the game than they were 10 years ago. You guys how many times have you guys heard me say, like, I wasn't as good at the game at blank time? If you go for a walk down memory lane on YouTube, you will see this pretty clearly. For instance, many players who are considered good at the time struggled with Ultron Boss and Act 5 when it was released. These days, it would be hard to find an in-game player who couldn't solo that fight with a 4-star of their choice. There are some battle groups that died less than 10 times this season in Alliance War. Shout out to Upside. My BG only died 4 times this last war. Hell yeah. And for alliances, hundreds of alliances, AQ Map 8 is a walk in the park. Players are simply able to do much more challenging content using fewer no consumables than in the past. Okay, I want to read the second one before I say something because I want to see if they take some of the, if they're aware of how much they also have to do with this, though. The second reason is related to deliberate design. Here it is. On our part, we decided that content with very high participant rates like story and AQ shouldn't be a massive roadblock for players. This is because we wanted lower skill players to be able to enjoy large parts of the game. In some ways, our hand was forced by the increase in player skill. Imagine how impossibly difficult Act 9 would have to be in order for it to be as hard as Act 6. Imagine what we should have to do for AQ Map 8. Oh God, they said it. Why? Why did you say that? To require in-game players to spend a substantial amount on AQ consumables. Players are so good now that it's very challenging to create content that sinks a large volume of consumables. I'm going to take the time out right now, and I don't. Again, you guys know I'll call out Kabam when I think they're being like misleading, or if something feels like gaslighting. This does not feel that way to me. I do think that there should be a full third paragraph in there stating we have also really ramped up what's in our champions and made them significantly more powerful and made defenders significantly more powerful. We have, and myself and many others have been telling them, like, you guys are making this game too complex. You're making kits too big. There's too much bloat. Like the power level of these things and the need to the ability, the what's required to understand them and how to work with them. But that also changes what they're able to interact with. Like the nodes can't be as simple anymore because you have Spider Woman or you have Onslaught or you have Kate Bishop who can just absolutely destroy them. So yeah, players are better, but also the tools you've given us and you've sold us to tackle this stuff have also gotten significantly stronger. And so I do think that that's important to add into this. Why can't we go back to the good old days? Why can't we go back to the good old days? A common sentiment expressed by longtime players is, why can't the concept be like it was a decade ago? If it's not broken, don't fix it. The problem with the sentiment is that when it comes to the details, players clearly don't want the context of the past. He's right on this, in my opinion. Players have told us to know something they don't want. I don't. If I had to go back to spending to get through a queue, I mean, my alliance literally, one of our BGs doesn't do it. That's mine. This has been very apparent in the last 5 years, exemplified by the incident a few years ago when we removed the major revive farm. Okay. I, I actually, I think this is accurate. I don't know if it's the full picture, but I think this is accurate. Why so many sales? The shift in player behavior and content design has directly led to the current monetization strategy for the game. A baseline revenue, okay. As baseline disappeared, more revenue has to come. The team knew years ago that creating more sales could result in a self-reinforcing feedback loop, but they didn't think they had any other choice but to proceed down this road. Players were trained to save their money in units for sales, which resulted in further decrease in baseline, which resulted, yeah, okay. As players saved for sales and free unit resources increase, and okay. So again, I think this is true. And again, this doesn't feel like gaslighting. This doesn't feel like, wow, he's really, I think there's just extra context I want to add in. And it's not important that I'm choosing to add this. I think there's a global economy that is different. I think the MCU is nowhere near as popular as it was. And both of those things contributed to, like, think about it. Steam used to do like these massive openings, right? And people cheering them on. And the world, like literally the world, not the battle realm, but the world is different. So there's more to it. Also, and I said this in my I'm volunteering to work for Kabam. I'm volunteering to fix the game for you. Is because they made the champion significantly more complex. And because they dove into that more and more, and MCoC Encyclopedia covered this really well in his video today, because they started moving to, look, if you don't have a counter, it'll be harder to, like, if you don't have a counter, you die. And because the function of the game became worse, right? Like input issues, the AI. I mean, I meant it when I said the AI is still so bad that I don't want any more posts on it. I want to hear you hired the guru of AIs from some other company who's known for fixing AIs. And so all of those real world stuff they could do nothing about, but also the quality of the game that they have presented has also significantly contributed to a decline in sales. I myself, when it was the Silver Samurai sale, that was a sale that you guys would have typically seen me go all in on. I actually was motivated to support that sale because it was one, I'm not the only one. I'm not taking credit for this, but I was one of the content creators in the CCP saying, hey, move stuff earlier to it. Let people who are spending $20 get something. They want to spend $20. That's great. And Kabam actually did it. And I wanted to support that. And I still stopped short of even getting even Silver Samurai. I don't remember the last time I did that for a sale. And it was because of all of these things we're talking about. So there's a broader picture there, but what he's saying is not wrong, in my opinion. So what's the plan? We do not want to be in this situation any more than players do. Of course, I'm trying so hard to stay away from comments like this, but I can't help it. This is why I like Crashed. There isn't a member of the dev team who wouldn't love Alliance Quest to pay for our salaries just by existing. But that world is gone. We do not believe trying to force monsters back into our existing game modes is going to work. It's not. A lot of people in the CCP have strongly worded that it's not. Either of us or our players. So the plan is to try something new, and that new thing we now say is first appearance. Right now, options for summoners to customize their aesthetics and expression those are rare. Generally limited profile pictures. Yeah, and even these aren't, whatever. First appearance champions is purely cosmetic feature that will build to see if we can generate some interest, even a small amount, by rewarding selling things that isn't more power. I could not love that concept more. We're always talking about it, right? Like, there's this massive space between your massive whales and your free to play, but the bigger that space gets, the more it catches like everyone. Where there's Maddie right there. Hey, what's up, Maddie? But like MCoC Encyclopedia, he's like, I have 5 rank 4s. He's in my alliance. He's competing in Platinum 3 War. He's a phenomenal player. He goes into Battlegrounds and he faces big old blubbery whale, and I only whale on the sales. And I've got like, I don't know, 18 rank 4s, some absurd number. How are you supposed to compete with that? While the primary source of first appearance champions will be in a future champion crystal, we plan to use this system for engagement-based activities as well, achievements as well. I misspoke. For instance, completing the Deathless Challenge, the Corporal Challenge within a week of that. Dude, okay. Guys, I'm telling you, I want this game to be good. I want people having fun. Even if you just don't believe my intentions there, think about it. The more people having fun, the more viewers I have that are having fun. Like, even my self-interest is in the game being good. I just ain't gonna lie to you and tell you it's good when it's clearly not. And even if you only ever collect a few appearance champions, our ability to create value from something that isn't directly tied to champion power is good for everyone, especially if that doesn't increase the power gap between Crashed. You can tell this was written by a different person. First appearance champions is our first real attempt to create a cosmetic ecosystem in the contest. If it's successful, we plan to go further down the road and explore cosmetic options like customizable profiles and true achievement systems. Nothing is ever certain, but we're hopeful that this will work. And if it doesn't, we think it will be good for the health of the game. And if it does, sorry, I misread that. And if it does, we think we can help us break free of this feedback loop and ideally allow us to dial back our sales. I also presented a variety of other ways that they can dial back sales and help out with balance and that sort of thing. I really truly hope they look at that, but I get it. I'm just some guy in his recording studio. I get it. The way forward. First appearance champions is not a feature that is going to solve all of the game's problems. As we discussed in a dev driver this week, there is no question that the quality of the product has not been up to par. We do not need we need to give players the experience they deserve and addressing. So just when I talked about how like you can tell this is written by a different person, do you see how he's not saying, and this is the kind of stuff, I want to point this out. This is a person who's accepting responsibility. They're not trying to shift it. They didn't learn to say certain words and just throw them in. This is a person, they're saying, product has not been up to par as late. They didn't, and that's it, period. We need to give players the experience they deserve, comma, and addressing our quality issues remains our top priority, period. Not, also, other people messed up along the way. You guys complain too much. You need to know that no, none of that is here. There's a person saying, we've messed up. We need to do better. Here's how we're going to try to do better. You might not agree with this, but I respect it. Most of our engineering and production resources are focused on making the experience better. At the same time, it is important that we work on the features. Yeah, I see. I get that too. I get that too. Right? Crashed isn't going to go make the AI better. I don't want him working on the AI. I don't. If they were like, and we've taken Crashed off this and he's now going to fix the AI, I'd be like, oh, good God. Right? But they got to go fix the AI. I'm going to get back to my chat. If I want to be clear, I am not saying everything's fixed. No, I've told you guys, I will not be spending until at the earliest after Cyber Day Weekend sale is over. And this boycott, what I'm doing, will only end if my channel members vote for it to end. I will be gifting 50 channel members a month. So that way it's not just your large spenders or people with massive disposable incomes making that decision. And I need to be having enough fun to consider spending. Both of those conditions need to be met. This is one post from one person. We don't even know how cosmetics are going to play out. If they stick with this concept where it provides no power at all, it is purely cosmetics, and they're making money off of whales, and maybe we can even earn some, us moderate spenders or low spenders are free to play by doing content. And that allows them to, he's literally drawing the line to having less sales. I am all for it. As usual, let me know what you think I got right. Let me know what you think I got wrong. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.